police officer killed in a traffic accident. The Attorney General defends government's handling of the BEC bribe scandal. Bus drivers protest a decision to move a downtown stop, and the newest Chief Justice sworn in. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Top news tonight, the Royal Bahamas Police Force is mourning the death of a young police officer who was killed in a traffic accident this morning. The officer, who is attached to the traffic division, was on his motorbike heading west on John F. Kennedy Drive when he reportedly lost control and hit a lamp pole. Simone Davis was at the scene and filed this report.
It was an emotional scene this morning as members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force lost one of their very own in a traffic fatality on John F. Kennedy Drive. Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean fought back tears as he managed to tell us a little bit of what happened.
Roughly what we can tell you is that sometime after 9 a.m. this morning, one of our cyclists attached to the traffic department was traveling west on JFK in the area of the lake when he lost control of his cycle and crashed into a lamp pole. He succumbed to his injuries at the scene.
More than a dozen officers were also on the scene in disbelief of what just happened to their colleague, including the Commissioner of Police, Ellison Greenslade, who was crying uncontrollably as he approached the body. Now, NB12 understands that the officer was on his way to Lynden Pinling International Airport to attend a ceremony to escort the body of a Turks and Caicos official to that island. While there, officials realized something was wrong when the officer was taking unusually long to arrive to Odyssey Aviation Bahamas, where the ceremony was being held. It was then that they got word of the fatality and reports that he died on his way there. Dean said his death sent shockwaves throughout the entire police force.
We can say that this is a rough day and a sad day in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Anytime an officer falls, it sends shockwaves throughout the entire RBPF. We are a closely knitted organization, so we feel the pain. And the country is at a deep loss of one of our officers. So bear with us as we go through this time of mourning.
Police officials did not want to reveal his identity, but relatives identified him as 25-year-old Lotorio Demerit, who has been a constable for the past 7 years. His cousin Precious Demerit said she had just spoken to him the night before and they planned to meet up, but now she will never get that chance.
Just feel heartbroken, devastated, He was a good boy, humble, mannerly. He's just a decent person. I'm just so heartbroken to get the news because I can't believe it. He and I spoke all night last night. He told me he was coming to see me, but no, that's never going to happen. He was a genuine person, very humble. He was passionate about his job. He loved being a police officer. He was in cadets from high school. He always wanted to be a police officer. And it's so sad that it had to come to this.
Relatives said he was also a newlywed. Demerit's death came just over a year after the death of his cousin, Shaquille Demerit, who was killed by a stray bullet to the head in the Fox Hill shooting on December 27, 2014.
Our family is still grieving from the loss of my brother. So it's like our hearts don't have time to heal before another tragedy hit, So it's just a difficult time for us, a very difficult time.
Dean described Demerit as a well-served, well-respected, and highly regarded police officer.
Further details will be forthcoming. What we say to the family on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, want to extend our deepest sympathy, and to the officers on the traffic division, who you could imagine the pain that they have. You could imagine the pain that we have. Just an officer who's well-served, well-respected, highly regarded, and our organization had a bright future. Life cut short.
Demerit's death also comes one day after police officers gathered at police headquarters to honor their fallen comrades. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
Police need the public's help in solving a shooting incident that left one man dead in Fox Hill last night. According to Chief Superintendent Paul Roll, around 6:30, the victim was sitting in a silver Honda at Blueberry Hill Road when he was shot several times about the body. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
What we do know is very sketchy at this time. Still have a team of investigators out in that area now continuing the investigation. But it seems that this individual had stopped in a cul-de-sac somewhere, and persons accosted him while sitting in his car with the engine still running and discharged several shots into the vehicle, causing his death.
Roll said the victim was shot to the face and both hands. Police are now appealing to anyone with information regarding the matter to contact them.
We appeal to persons who may have heard anything or seen anything to reach out to us and help us to advance this investigation into this homicide in the Blueberry Hill area.
You can contact police anonymously about this or any other crime, no matter how small or insignificant the tip may seem, at 919 or 328-TIPS. Roll also today gave an update on the woman who was found dead in her Exuma home yesterday morning. Police confirmed the victim's 37-year-old husband is now in police custody for questioning in connection with his wife's death. According to reports, sometime last night, the victim and her husband got into an altercation at their Georgetown home, resulting in the victim receiving injuries to her neck. She was found unresponsive at her residence around 8 a.m. yesterday and was pronounced dead at the scene. Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson is defending the Christie administration's handling of the BEC bribery probe amid criticisms officials have gone silent on the issue. Though the matter has festered for 42 days, Maynard Gibson says that's not a lot of time and urged Bahamians to judge the Attorney General's office and the Christie administration on their record. Vonnie Toot reports.
More than a month after the BEC bribe scandal grabbed national headlines, Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson has dismissed any suggestion that the Christie administration has dragged its feet on this issue and urged Bahamians to be patient. Maynard Gibson says the government does not want to jeopardize this process and officials will make a comment at an appropriate time.
A month in these things is not an inordinate amount of time. We want to be thorough about the process. I would ask the public to be patient. The point that I am making is that there are appropriate times when to speak, and the public expects that the proceedings will not be jeopardized. We will speak as and when appropriate. In the meantime, we are pursuing this matter on behalf of the Bahamian public and taking it very seriously.
It has been 42 days since allegations surfaced that an official from Alstom paid bribes totaling $325,000 to a Bahamian official to swing BEC contracts to Alstom between 1999 and 2003. The government has been criticized for its silence on the matter, which former BEC Chairman J. Barry Farrington said has brought shame upon our country and its people. The Attorney General insisted today government can be trusted to be transparent.
This administration and I don't mean just the political administration, but the administration that is operating out of the Attorney General's office at this time on its record. And I certainly have never hesitated to account for my performance and my office's performance to the public. And I'm not, and I will not ever hesitate on my responsibility to account.
Maynard Gibson has requested further information from the United States, including the identity of the alleged bribe taker. However, she did not say whether she has heard back from the U.S. She would only say now is not the time to speak publicly on the BEC probe.
There will only be comments on this very important matter as and when appropriate, and it is inappropriate at this stage of the proceedings to make any comment. They may jeopardize the future of the proceedings. As and when appropriate, comments will be made, and I reassure the public that this matter is being taken very seriously.
J. Barry Farrington wrote the Prime Minister requesting the appointment of a nonpartisan commission to fully investigate reports of an alleged BEC bribe taker. However, Farrington has yet to receive an acknowledgement from him.
When asked about the BEC matter recently, Prime Minister Perry Christie says he plans to reply to Farrington's letter soon, and the Attorney General is dealing with this issue. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Dozens of bus drivers were parked at Arwat Key this morning in protest of a recent decision to move one of the busiest bus stops in town. That change took effect today, and the bus drivers said they weren't having any of it. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Straw vendors have been complaining to me. Children who have to connect other buses have been complaining to me. I've been telling them about what's going to be happening on Monday. It's not just about the distance. It's the dollar, the safety, and everything.
Where we are, we asking further north of where we are. We have west. We have much more space, and it's a more feasible area for the transition of the buses. People catch one bus to hop to another bus to get to the location.
Some drank coffee and some cleaned their buses, but the sign in front of all of these buses said closed. The drivers stressed that they weren't striking but just getting their point across, that the decision to move the bus stop from in front of Royal Bank on Bay Street farther east by the government publication building was not acceptable. That point, they say, is too far from where the bulk of their passengers embark. Head of the Road Traffic Division Superintendent Craig Stubb walked over to the park drivers at Arrowak Key, where they made their grievances with the change heard. Bus driver and franchise owner Levon Miller spoke for the group and said this decision without consultation is a disgrace.
We are not belligerent. We're not just here fighting because we have nothing better to do. All of us have families home to feed. Many of these men have children in schools. Many of these men are the sole breadwinner in their families. So we don't just decide that we're going to lose income for a cause that we have or that we think we have no reason to fight. We are here because we say to you, Mr. Controller, this is still a democracy. This is still the Bahamas. And totalitarianism will not be accepted at any level.
Road Traffic Controller Ross Smith recently stated that the bus stop had to be moved for security concerns. However, Miller questions how the controller could even come up with that issue if it wasn't a problem before.
If the security threat is there, firstly, I do not know where the controller gets his accreditation to be able to address a security issue. The past controller was a security man and he had no issue. And the space is there. So we plead to you, not on our own behalf, but on behalf of the Bahamian population, send us west, where the people are, and gladly we will go.
Now, as a result of this new change, this is now the last bus stop, which means the passengers will have a fairly long trot over the hill and down Bay Street before they get to the new one.
When our news team arrived at that junction, 2 officers were on the scene diverting bus drivers from driving over the hill and along Bay Street. Instead, they had to turn through the corner by C.R. Walker High, forcing customers to make the trot over the hill to their destination, many of whom didn't seem too happy with the change. Several minutes into us being on the corner, those officers were told to leave, and bus drivers continued their normal routine of driving over the hill. Now, morning rush hour traffic along Bay Street near the new bus stop was also backed up. That sparked talk that it was the drivers who had the road blocked up. However, Harrison Moxie, president of the Public Transportation Union, explains what really happened.
There was an accident just in the area of the new bus stop, or the bus stop that we was now diverted to go to, and it caused a great traffic congestion. That seemed to have sent off an alarm that there would have been a strike, and vehicles, buses in particular, would have been blocking up Bay Street. And I would like to say to the general public that there is no calling from this body here to inconvenience the passengers. That would not be our first position, far as negotiation. While we are, however, in disagreement with the removal of the bus stop, because as we can see right here, right now, that is causing great inconvenience to the general public.
Moxie says he hopes passengers don't take it out on the bus drivers. He said it's their plan to have the matter resolved shortly. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.